Good morning. Good morning, Europe. I'm really sorry. I got completely carried away with the research. So just give me a chance to get everything else loaded up. Oh my God, I'm sitting there pondering the finer things of trading, and I looked at the clock and going, oh my God, it's 5 minutes to open. It's really embarrassing. I'm sorry. I should be up and running now. And oh, Telegram. I think I'm live on Telegram as well. I think, wow, I feel like a naughty professor. Not a naughty. Okay, I think I think I'm good now. Let me just check that yeah, I think it's all good. Good morning, Europe. How are you? I hope you're well. Just give me a chance and I'll get this show on the road. That's it. I think we're up and running now. And let me just get the educational content for today. Let me just get that up and running. So it should look something like this. Oh no, that's not it. Well, it was it, but we need to scroll down to the. I have produced 285 pages. What I'd like to go through with you today, whilst we're trading live, is I'd like to review yesterday in the DAX and the Dow. There was nothing in the FTSE and Nasdaq, and then a tail of free trades. So that's kind of what I would like to speak with you today. But let's just settle in. Okay, I think we're there. So yesterday someone asked me, do you think this is the trade that could take the DAX up to all-time highs? And I said, very likely. And it was just interesting how I didn't get anything out of it. But we will discuss that as well. So here's the big picture. No, not the big picture. The big picture is this. Here's the micro picture of what's going on. So good morning. I hope you're well. and I hope that my voice is coming through loud and clear. Today will be my last trading day before my holiday. I have booked a holiday in for a while, and I really look forward to that. So you may ask, what am I going to do in my holiday? Well, you know, some of the typical things that people do on holidays, like, you know, eat too much, sleep a bit longer. In my case, also read and write. I look forward to that. And maybe do some research. Would really like to just give a big shout out to a gentleman called Igor. Igor basically sent me, I don't know how he did it, but he did, and I'm just really grateful, and I hope that you can see it. And I think what I would like to do, I want to ask Igor's permission first. But as you know, I posted a video over the weekend, and that video was basically arguing that school run, maybe there was a way that we could optimize the performance on the school run strategy. And Igor, and I don't think I've met Igor, but if I have, I'm sorry if but I don't think I've met Igor, but he was so kind as to produce or auto produce, basically putting into pictures my hypothesis, where he has bracketed the range, and then he's highlighted the school run bars, and he's used it on UK Times. Igor, if you'd done your job properly, you could have included the brunch break. So, you know, you're not that good. I'm joking. I'm really joking. And I think, you know, scrolling through this database, it gives an ample opportunity to thoroughly test the hypothesis, because you have a sample of 446 trading days, which is just, I suppose, just shy of 2 years worth, isn't it? So and just looking through the data, I am beginning to question whether I have done the right thing or not. For example, if you're looking at this here, the 28th of October, you see how the school run takes place inside the trading range. At least I think it does. No, I'm pretty sure it does. Fit to page, okay. Can I get rid of that? I don't know if I can. But, and then what the hypothesis actually says, well, if this takes place inside the trading range, you should really sell short here. Now, the cynic in me would say, oh, you got that wrong. But the flip side of it would say, hang on, hold your horses here, because if you sold short here, if you sold short here, yeah, you're gonna take some heat. You might even get stopped out. But you would make down here, except that this is also inside the trading range. And so technically, basis on the hypothesis, you would be a buyer here. So the 28th of October is certainly not my friend. But I don't want to have an ostrich approach to trading either. I want to face criticism head on, and I don't want to be ignorant. So, for example, here the school one would trigger a long position. As you can see, that didn't actually materialize into anything meaningful either. And then you're getting a trigger here on the short side, but because it takes place outside of the overnight range, technically that should be a buy. So the 29th wasn't actually something that was much to scream and shout about either. But then you come to the 30th, and if I'm reading this correctly, I'm just getting the hang of Igor's charts. But it would seem then that I would not take a long position here, because the break of the school run bar takes place inside the trading range, and so I would sell short here, which seems to come with an it's a rather small range. And would I then add to my short position here on the break because I've already got a short here? Well, if that was the case, this would turn into a thunderously profitable trade on the 30th. Anyway, so the way I think what I'm truly attracted to, or what resonates so well with me in trading, is this. It's perhaps it's a little bit a metaphor. I like writing the songs and rather than singing the songs, although that's not true, because I actually also really like to execute the trades. So if Igor gives me permission, I would very much like to post this for general use inside the Telegram channel. And so Igor, if you are listening in, first of all, thank you so much for producing it. And secondly, do I have your blessing to post this to the rest of the channel? And I respect that if it's a no and it's just for my use, but I think there will be many people who would be grateful for it. And Igor has just responded, feel free to post. So I will absolutely do that. Thank you very much, my friend. That's the real spirit of this community. And I'm grateful. And I'm sure that many others are grateful. Well, actually, so let's just look at what's going on. So that the DAX cleared the low end of the trading range. Do you know what I think I would like to do? I think I'd like to just take a 1 minute break. You don't have to do anything. You can just be here, but I would just convert this to a PDF, and then I would post that PDF to the general group. Because right now, for some reason, the PC I'm working from right now, it's not actually giving me the opportunity to save it as a PDF. Although it does say PDF, but so just give me a minute, and I will post it in the public channel. Okay, could you just bear with me 1 second? Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so now it's in a different format. Ooh. So I can refer to it if I want to. Anyway, so excuse me. So obviously I'm keeping an eye on the markets. In particular, I'm extremely mindful of what the DAX just did. I didn't purchase myself, not here in the channel, and not for myself, but it seems to me as if this was a somewhat obvious trade to be a buyer below the overnight range in a very strong. I think the hourly chart sums that up really well. And profit taking coming in here above the overnight range, just near the all-time high. So let's see how this pans out when the 15-minute chart is complete. Let's just go over to the FTSE. The FTSE has been absolutely on fire in a manner that I have rarely seen in my career. The FTSE has always been a somewhat of a docile index that is more prone to be range bound than anything else. And it seems as if the FTSE is really pushing higher. Don't know how much data there is. So FTSE has a first bar positive, and yeah, it's running away. So if I get an opportunity to be a buyer below a prior bar low, we'll probably take a FTSE trade like that. And gonna have to wait a little bit before the DAX school run is in play. And so maybe whilst we are waiting, I could take you through the material that I've prepared for today's session, or this morning's session, Europe session. One second. Just bear with me 1 minute. that's sorted. The aggressive school run has triggered. No, has indicated I haven't done anything. I think I'll wait for the traditional school run. And whilst we're waiting, I would very much like to take you through the material that I have prepared for today's session. And it goes something like this. Come on, there we go. So I'd like to review the DAX from yesterday and the Dow and also the Nasdaq, and then I want to talk a little bit, or perhaps quite a lot, about a tale of free trades and the conclusions we can or can't draw from them. And I think this is the most compelling part of what I will be talking about today. So yesterday I traded the DAX on the long side. So when the DAX broke the school run bar here, I went long. And the reason why I went long, and now obviously I'm thinking, did I do too hasty work over the weekend? Although it did took a long time to prepare the slides of researching January. But we were trading above the overnight range, and I felt, well, that would warrant a long position. But it didn't work out. And I took my loss a little earlier. And then and that was basically it. Later on it actually triggered long, but I wasn't around for that. And incidentally, this bar that you're seeing here, which is what I really want to talk about, is the brunch break. This bar here represents the brunch break bar. That's the 7th 15-minute bar in the DAX. And I didn't see it trigger short, but I walked in and I saw that it was just about to trigger there, and I bought it at 16, fully intending to post in Telegram channel, I've just gone long. And the market just it rocketed up. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really quite unusual. And then I was, and I think the conversation becomes interesting now, at least I think it does. Feel free to tune out if you don't share. At that point here, I looked at my P&L and I thought, I lost on the DAX, which in conventional terms should have been a really good winner, but I lost. And I'm now able to cover 2/3 of my loss from this morning. I'm gonna close it, and I closed it right here, and then I checked 15 minutes later, and I thought, oh, that was a really good place to go and exit the trade. And then I checked an hour later, and it was there. I'm thinking, yeah, I did the right thing. And when I then came back for the US session, the DAX was up here, and I was struck by this sense of regret that I had gotten out here, and then to see the market over here, which I'm not an expert in how our minds work, but I am acutely tuned into how my own mind works and how feeble my mind is. I think by a conventional standard, an extremely disciplined life. There are many things that a normal, quote, normal human being would allow themselves that I don't allow myself, because I think of the big picture. So just some stupid examples, but I don't allow myself to drink alcohol because I don't think it's good for me, and I think long term. I don't allow myself to eat cakes and candy and the likes because I don't think it is good for my body. I'm very mindful of exercise because I think long term, and I think that's what's good for a long, strong life, which is what I want to live. And these are the things that I can control, but I also know that when my alarm clock goes off, for example, I'm in the UK at the moment, and so my alarm clock this morning went off about 3:30 because I wanted to finish some work ahead of my holiday. And so when you go out exercising and it's not even 4 o'clock in the morning and the whole world is asleep, you can draw some strength from that. You can go, yeah, you're disciplined. It is also somewhat nuts. But there are things that I can control, but I also know that my body or mind doesn't necessarily want to get up at that hour. And my trick is I don't overthink it. I just get out of bed, just fucking do it, okay? Because the more you think about it, the more you rationalize, the higher the odds are that you are gonna listen to that part of your mind going, go back to sleep. And so when my mind sends a signal like this going, why did you take your profit? Part of me could say, well, because I thought at the time with the information that I had, that was a good place to take a profit. But when you then look at the Dow trade that I did yesterday, so here the Dow triggers a long signal, and that long signal comes outside of the overnight range, which is somewhat to be decided still. How do we define the overnight range in the US markets when we're European-based traders? But I basically bought the Dow here, and then I bought it again here. And then, by some sheer miracle, through gut feel, I got out right here. And so if I compare my DAX trade, where my gut feel says, get out there, to what then subsequently happened, I see that the 15-minute bar has just triggered. So I'll be keeping an eye on it. If I had let this run, I would have had a really good trade in the DAX. But if I had let this run, I would have had quite a significant loss because I had a double up position I bought and then I added to it. And so two identical, shall we say, approaches or thinkings, one would have produced a really good winner and one would have produced a fucking smack in the face. And then if you look at the Nasdaq again triggers a long signal on the school run, and this is outside the I don't know if you see this low here, but at the time I said, if we come down here, I really would like to be a buyer of the DAX. But it didn't, and that's just what happens. But in the DAX, I think I got out of my profit somewhere around here. The exact exit, I don't remember. But I think I closed it somewhere around here. And at the time, I thought, well, that was a pretty good exit. And I think I made this much here, and it was fine. But then I checked in later, and I thought, well, I could have made double of what I made. So if you're looking, and let's just talk philosophically speaking here, ladies and gentlemen, but we have free trades by a supposedly quote-unquote professional trader who has written a best-selling book on trading psychology. And so on I'm mindful that I might be overtly harsh to myself, but I will take that. We have 3 trades executed by a quote-unquote professional trader. One where he has a really good entry, but the exit, you may question why. You could have just moved the stop loss to break even and you would have had eventually a much better reason for an exit. For example, this high up here. Point taken. Imagine that you are having to defend your trades in front of an examination board. That's kind of, picture it like that. And then you have this trade here, and now again you're in front of the examination board and you go, why did you choose to get out there? What did you see there that nobody else saw? The high was 88 and you got out at 78. That's an astounding exit on a double position. You were 200% long. Well played. Yeah, great, but the very same trade that earned me my wings here was the one that stopped me from participating in this move here. And the very thing that got me out here was the thing that stopped me from participating in this move higher. And maybe it never would have gotten up here anyway, and the outcome would have been the same. But are you following my drift here, ladies and gentlemen? Because I think this level of introspection is needed to continuously develop as a trader. I am ashamed of my exit yesterday, but I don't want to hide that shame. Quite the contrary, I want to wash my dirty laundry in public, because why would I hide that? If I hide it, then it won't improve. Steve Ward once said on a stage, this is the famed symposium in 2021 with Al Brooks and David Paul, the last one that David Paul and I did together. And Steve Ward was on stage and he said, if you don't talk it out, you will act it out. Now it's a catchy little phrase, but it's easy to remember. And going, well, if you don't deal with your demons head on, and you actually confront them and going, well, why the fuck did you get out there? Well, did you get out there because you saw something? No, I got out there because I wasn't trading this. I was trading my bloody P&L because I saw an opportunity to even the balance from the loss earlier. And I think everybody who's tuning in right now will agree with me. Well, okay, fine, I can understand you from a human point of view, but it's our humanness that often makes us losing traders. And so in reality, if we want to really excel in this field, we have to overcome those natural tendencies that we have as human beings, which is like the justice principle, all right, I want to even the scales from the early morning. And I find that particular aspect of trading the hardest aspect to navigate. This trade here in the Dow, it made my day. You know, it made the account up about 1% on the day, which is fine. It's good. But is it a good trade? Not really. And so you look at the DAX trade, that was a good entry, but an awful exit. The Dow, good entry, but an awful exit, even though it served the purpose and I got lucky. And again, in the NASDAQ, great entry. You followed your principles, but not a particular great exit. Okay, if I had some burning appointment yesterday, Had to have a lobotomy or a hair transplant, or some joking, I would never do that. But if I had something that was really pressing, yeah, maybe I could understand why I would get out. But why would I trade if I knew I had a pressing engagement anyway shortly after? And so out of the free trades yesterday, I think the conclusion is great entry, very disciplined entry, but fucking awful exits. Even though they won me. Just food for thought, okay? Let's just go over and see what the DAX is doing. Seems as if we'll have a long position coming up. If we're having a long position, the stop loss is about 40 points. And the FTSE, well, the FTSE has actually given me that opportunity to be a buyer below prior bar low. So I will be a buyer. Let me see if I can just get a slightly better entry. I don't know if you've seen this, but we have a first bar positive in the FTSE. And so if we go below 8775 by 1 point, so the low is 8775, that would mean we have a short position at our hands. Yeah. Looks like the DAX is about to trigger. If I show you the, so here's the 30-minute range, and I think the overnight range has been breached, and we're trading above the overnight range. It sure does look like it, doesn't it? That means I have to be long the DAX above 953. So let me see if I can get an entry close to 953. I'm going to be very mindful that this may just run away from me. FTSE 2. When I did the research, I was contemplating whether I should include the last hour of the US session for the DAX and define that as the trading range as well. God, it's just, it's going, but I'm not in. It's going on without me. I think had we bought at say 54 and we were trading at 75, the stop loss would have been moved to break even by now. So if you're sat out there and watching and you are in a position, well done. As you can see, I'm not. Very strong momentum. Silly me for not just buying. Always trying to just get that slightly better position. Same in the FTSE. Oh, let me just wait, see if I can get that one tick better. I didn't put a limit order in. And in the words of David Paul, stop being a dick for a tick. People are sending me screenshots of their trades. Well done. It's not that I'm not, uh, I'm happy for those of you who are in. I absolutely am. Yeah, so Costa is saying, why aren't you using the limit orders? I don't know, Costa. I think it's because I think I'm smarter than the market and that I should just be able to get the entry that I want. I'm overthinking it, Costa. Costaya. Because as my old friend and mentor would say, I'm being a dick for a tick. But don't you worry, it's gonna come back. That's what some people are saying about Lehman Brothers. so James has just posted the most sarcastic comment ever, and I smile at it. He said, Tom, if only you had a cutting edge piece of software which places the orders for you. Yeah, very funny. The irony is I do have a cutting edge piece of software which all of you have access to, and all you have to do is click the bloody double click and the order is in there. Ooh, look at the FTSE. I wonder, do you think we're going to have a first bar positive sell signal? Could look like it. If that triggered at 8774, the stop loss probably need to be around 88. I think I'm going to double click on that and go to the order, and I might just change the size to 5. Stop loss is entry at 74 and stop loss at 94, and that's a first bar positive. So two questions have come in, and they were about the DAX. And there's people saying, I'm long the DAX, but what do you do in a situation where it's an all-time high we're dealing with? I imagine that the first thing you would look at is 22,000. It seems to be a cat whiskers away, and that would be an obvious round target. Maybe you could be the first person to take profit above 22,000 because the DAX has never been there before. I remember when I worked at City Index, the broker, there was a trader who wanted to be the first one to buy the gold at $1,000 an ounce. It's like, okay, there you go. So here we go. It looks like it's gonna trigger in the FTSE. A short position one, what's called first bar positive. Hasn't quite triggered it yet. The entry is at 74 exactly. We're currently trading at 75. I could actually, now that I think about it, it's a 20-point stop loss. That would have been a 1.2% risk. I probably could have taken that. I can't change it now because it's too close. I don't want to. Oh no, it's triggered. Brilliant. All right. I'm just going to post that. There we go. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to take a 1-minute break. So here we go. FTSE is short, stop loss is above the range. Here's the look at it from a daily chart point of view. If you look at the big pushes higher in the FTSE in the last month, you'll see that on this big push, the following day you had no follow through. You had no what is I trying to say? You had no overlap on the bar. On this particular day, you had some overlap. How much, I don't know. But if I drew a simple fib, then you can see it's not even 30%. Nope, I got that wrong. I'll draw it from here. It's just about 30%. So if we use that, maybe we can develop an idea of a target. So the target would be at about 8,750. Okay. If we look at these these strong bars up here, you had practically no overlap at all here. You have no overlap here. So it's absolutely not a high odd trade. And the way that the FTSE tends to move, it will also be a slow trade. And the DAX, I'm afraid, it's doing what it's supposed to do, what school run is supposed to do. And embarrassingly, I'm not on board. Here's the ideal entry where it triggered. It's annoying. Can't really afford to miss trades like that. So we're coming up to the full hour. I don't want to take too much of your mental bandwidth this morning. Those of you who have followed me know the entry rules for school run, aggressive school run, etc. But thanks to the very kind generosity of Igor, we have some additional material. Wow, that was a good trade on the, I imagine this is US format, so that's probably the 10th of May. Let me just see, yeah, must be. That was a good short. And that is not a good long, even though it takes place outside the range. And that actually did work out as a short, because it took place inside the range, goes against you a bit, gives you an opportunity to move stop loss to break even. See, the idea that I was toying about is, okay, so what do you do when you have a reaction like this, but then the high is eventually taken out? Because I noticed that if it gets taken out, it tends to produce a move. So what would I have done here? Is it, so it's above the range, so down here would trigger a long signal. Well, it's fair to say that it didn't break any lower, but he didn't have much joy. You'd be in profit, you'd be in loss, you'd be in profit. This one here, definitely either. But this, do you see this one here on the 16th of May? That reminds me very much of how we have reacted this morning. Do you see that? If I get rid of this and I get rid of this and I just show you like this, you have a bar that takes out the overnight range to the low and then it pushes very strongly higher. Doesn't that just look exactly what we have been through this morning? If there's anything to go by, we should actually sell short the DAX because it's going to come back down again. Interesting perspective, huh, ladies and gentlemen? Takes out the range on the low side, pushes back into the trading range, triggers along, pushes higher, and then comes back into the range. We'll see if that happens. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get an opportunity to get a fill at 55 just yet. So I think I'll leave you. My FTSE position is just sort of meandering. Hopefully we're going to see a push down to the low end of the range and a 38% retracement of the bigger picture would point to 8750 as our target. That would be nice. If I get an opportunity, I will move stop loss down and I would add to the position. I'm going to leave you with a final look at the DAX. It's actually relatively quiet. I immediately think, whenever I say the word quiet, I'm thinking, is there any news out? And the answer is no. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, it has been a pleasure to have your company this morning, as always, and I hope that you enjoyed the lessons. I will see you later for the US session, and that will be my last session for a couple of weeks as I'm about to embark on a little holiday. So take care of yourself, stay strong. Please do send me some hate mail if you think I'm pathetic for not taking that long signal in the DAX. I deserve it. I fucking deserve it. I should have been long here, and I'm annoyed with myself. I will call a spade a spade. I'm annoyed with myself. And you also know what's going to happen now? In 2 nanoseconds after I finish streaming, I'm going to get an opportunity to actually go long. I'm probably being too cynical here. Love you lots. You take care of yourself, okay? And I will see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.